Ses. Evet, herkese iyi akşamlar. Bu salondaki son panelimize hepiniz hoş geldiniz.
Anyone among the audience listen to English interpretation? We are checking the sound. Anyone among the audience listen to English interpretation? Checking the sound. Anyone among the audience listen to English interpretation?
Bugün değerli katılımcılarımızla beraber rüzgar santrallerinin lojistiği hakkında konuşacağız. Buradaki sorunlardan, buradaki zorluklardan bahsedeceğiz.
We will be talking about the challenges of the wind energy. Let me introduce our guests to you, and then I will be summarizing you. Then we will be having a Q&A session. We have Samet Bey with us from Hareket Project. Welcome, Samet Bey. And we have Önder Bey from Sarılar Group. Welcome. Kemal Bey from System Winch. And we have Ömer Bey from Yılnak Group. As you all know, wind farms are preferable energy investments among the renewable energy investments, and the number of wind farms is increasing. As you all know, there are many wind farms, and every year 5 gigawatt established power is the target of our country for the following 10 years. When we look at our project stock, about 30,000 or 40,000 megawatts is going to be commissioned, and it is equal to 5,000 megawatts annually. And with the growing turbines, we will be establishing many more. As you all know, wind turbines, as the technology develops, have become bigger, and they do have bigger volumes. And its logistics require an expertise, but with the growth of the wind turbines, there are other challenges, other trends appearing. Now we will be talking about these trends. Now I would like to leave the floor to Samet Bey. We will have 2 rounds today. In the first round, everybody is going to introduce himself for the audience. Besides that, we will be talking about the transportation, crane, and logistics challenges. We will be talking about them in the first round. Thank you very much. My name is Samet Gürsu, Hareket Project General Manager. I have been working as an operation manager I worked as an operation manager for 20 years. Now I'm the general manager. I'm a machinery engineering. Let me introduce our company first. This company was established in 1957, project transformation and crane leasing. And for the wind turbines, we provide mechanical assembly services in Turkey, in Turkic Republic, and in the Middle East countries. We provide these services. As asked by Levent Bey, our logistics process is challenging. The dimension of the turbines, wind turbines, have changed. Their sizes have changed, and one of our biggest issues is the changes in the requirements of the vehicle. 10 years ago, 47-meter blade. The blade length was 50 meters back then, but right now it is about 81 meters, and the length of the vehicle has increased up to 69 meters. In order for you visualize better, it is, when you think about the length of this hole, it is like 4 times. So it is serious. Why do we have to make these investments? The level differences in the field. These vehicles need serious stroke requirements, and we need blade vehicles, and the investment cost is quite high, and the investment cost is like 2-3 times. And we have blade lifter. It's a special equipment. And we need it in the region where the vehicles cannot have an access. You can see here the blade passing to the top of the buildings. This equipment was introduced 7 years ago, and 250 ton meter, but now it is 1,000 ton meter. Why? Because the blade weight is around 35 tons, so the equipment's capacities needed to be increased accordingly. So the first equipment that you buy in the first place, you can't use them as the sizes of the blades change. And then, because of this fast evolution, these equipments cannot be used any longer. And our needs for crane, they change as well within time. We started with 3 tons cranes when we first started commissioning the wind farms. Now it is 600 tons crane. It's not enough, so we need cranes with 800 tons and more. And planning is required because the dimensions are huge. In the past, we need to go to the zones and the fields to check whether these vehicles can pass through these routes or not. If it cannot pass through, then we have to work on it, and then we have to implement it accordingly later on. And of course, it requires a serious efforts of engineering. Another challenge that we face is the safety and security. As the sizes get bigger and bigger, we need to prevent the accidents. As you can see here, the resolution of the video has increased. We have the video system right now, and the driver, while maneuvering, they can see the objects at the back of the vehicle, or he can follow the lane, so on and so forth. So this is another challenge. I talked about the equipment, But of course, the most important element is the educated personnel, sophisticated personnel. We need to have supportive personnel. And of course, all these works are depending on the human power. And it is difficult to train sophisticated and skilled personnel in this field, and we have a gap in this regard in the sector. And another matter that's worth mentioning is that the standards in the path to the construction zone, their standards are low and the vehicles can be harmed by them, and this is one of the main issues that all the logistics companies suffer from. And air conditions, it's sine qua non. When we talk about the winter season, mud, rain, snow, we have great difficulties in the construction zones. Therefore, these are some other challenges that we face. And this is the end of my words for the first round. Thank you very much, Samet Bey. Hi everyone. We're a little bit perplexed at being here because we started to have such organizations every year, but for the first time this year we're here talking about the crane assembly teams and transportation companies. We were given the chance to speak up our truths for the first time, and I would like to thank to Trek on behalf of my company. My name is Önder Akbaş, and I have been working in Sarılar Group for the last 16 years. Sarılar is a leader company in the heavy lifting sector, from 30 to 2,000 tons of lifting them, and different capacity cranes. They might be mobile, telescope, or cage bound crane categories. And along with that, we do have transportation equipment. We have a serious investment, and this equipment park, we have to mobilize them from one construction site to another. Therefore, we have low bed lorries, we have other equipments, other vehicles, and similarly, we are here for the wind turbine. We have vehicles, special vehicles to carry the turbines and also to assemble them. Every year, wind turbine models change, and we build cranes and vehicle investments accordingly, and we are updating them every year, and it is quite difficult to catch up with the technological changes. And instead of making an investment to 55-meter, we plan to make an investment to 65-meter, and there is a serious competition in that field as well. Besides that, a subsidiary of Sarılar, Turnkey Solutions. For Turnkey Solutions, we established a company, and Turkey's first local assembly company. This was established in 2009, and we started to work in the turbine with this company. We took a break for a short time. We restarted our activities. Therefore, as Sarılar and Sares in wind farm construction sites in Izmir, Iskenderun, and with our branch in Georgia, in the Balkans, in the Middle East. I don't want to hyperbole because their operational capability is also important. From Balkans to southern China Sea, we're active. Sakhalin Islands, we did a project with Enka. If you ask me to show it on the map, it is impossible for many of you. But we had crane mobilization for this country as well. We transfer cranes to many African countries, and in Balkans, for example, we established wind farm in 2007 in Athens. In Pakistan, in Jordan, we completed many projects. In the wind context, we have limited actions. We have many other industrial activities. Those we worked in the construction of big structures like Çanakkale Bridge, Osman Gazi Bridge, Istanbul Airport, or in many stadiums. Those big structures, we were there during the construction phase. The cages, we assembled the cages from Fenerbahçe Stadium to Galatasaray Stadium, or in internal Anatolia, other stadiums. We had many project fields. As Sarılar, we are not only working with crane or assembly, we do have transportation activities as well. With this equipment, of course, we are trying to contribute to the sustainable future and sustainable energy as much as we can. We are a company making revenue out of these activities, but despite this fact, we are trying to contribute to decrease the dependency of our country on energy, and we are very happy in doing so. Why? Because these are all national values, national assets. Of course, we start to design the project from an OEM company. When we get the demand, we discuss how we can do it, what kind of crane we are going to use, what kind of carrier we are going to use from from turbine to turbine. There are different models, to be honest. In this wide spectrum equipment park, we are trying to pick up the right equipment depending on the conditions of the construction site. There are many criteria, and we pick up the most convenient crane accordingly. In 2008, 2009, 380 tons pallet or 5 tons mobile, we were establishing small wind turbines less than 1 megawatt. But now these sizes tripled, doubled, and it is valuable for our country as well. And there's such a trend all around the world, and we are trying to catch up with these trends. I talked about Sares Wind. It was totally local company in 2009, and the establishment story was very beautiful. We used to have assembly teams from abroad. You might also know about it. And they were complaining about this fact. And their working culture was different from the one of ours. And it was challenging for us because things were newly developing in Turkey. Our cranes and our assembly with their management, the situation was challenging. We were trying to understand, but on the other hand, it was difficult to manage, and OEM companies noticed it, and they encouraged us to set up this new company focusing on it. And the launching was awesome. Okay, let me stop here. Then let me continue in the second round. My name is Kemal Akınlı, Sistral Crane General Manager and Nova Wind Energy Farm founding partner. From the logistics perspective, within the sector, we work for transportation and crane. It is delivery from door to door, from the place it's manufactured to the assembly point. Port, transportation, crane, and assembly. This is what we do. We are the biggest shareholders of the wind turbine manufacturers. And we expect to be appreciated. But unfortunately, these four different companies, and with many more, we are under the heavy pressure of the competition. So the competition is quite harsh, and the other challenges that my colleagues just mentioned are quite small. Samet Bey mentioned about our biggest challenge, lack of skilled personnel. Interim personnel lacks in Turkey. Driver for the transportation, operator for the crane, personnel for the assembly. We don't have any school training for such skilled personnel. Unfortunately, they learn from their masters in the field. Our biggest demand as the sector, as the biggest stakeholder of this business, we want to see schools that these skilled personnel are trained. Even if there's going to be a simple transportation, the driver has to have 10 years of experience. These are the demands that we receive on a daily basis. But unexperienced driver, how are they going to learn about the job? And we can't find even the driver himself. And we have our issues with the skilled personnel, and our purpose is to focus on the transportation and the crane, and we need to have the support required from our customers, from turbine manufacturers. Our equipment lasts for maximum 3 years. They become obsolete. What do I mean by saying obsolete? The equipment don't have a long life. They can be used for like 20, 30 years, but with the developing technologies, we are left behind in terms of the equipment. The manufacturer measures the capacity. They say that, okay, I produced a blade of 50, 60 meters. Next year, they say 80 meters. But the equipment that you bought, can only be used for the 60 meters. Then the equipment become obsolete. We can manage it on our own, but some standards have to be presented in that regard. This is our expectation. And the name of the service that we provide is not carrying something regular. The investment behind the scenes has to be amortized, at least partially. So we are struggling with the harsh competition. We are struggling with finding the skilled personnel. We are struggling for choosing the new equipment to buy. And the remaining issues are the natural challenges of our job. I don't need to utter them once again here. We are here as the transportation and crane companies, but assembly is also there, and also the port operation teams are also involved. We would like to be appreciated more. This is our desire. Apart from that, we are going to be here at all times without getting tired, without getting offended. We would like to continue with better cooperation. Thank you very much.
Evet, teşekkür ediyoruz. Buyurun Ömer Bey.
Teşekkürler Levent Bey. Öncelikle sizlerin nezdinde I would like to thank also the TWEC for this organization, and I hope we will have some similar organizations in the future, where we can talk about the risks and opportunities of our sector. We, as Yılnak, were founded 1973 in Ankara, and since 2011, we are in the Alpözer group, and we are continuing our services. We have global forwarding and transport, and also storage of equipment and leasing of equipment for certain services. And as you know, is where these sectors are starting with the renewable energies and energy in general. And I am a manager of the third generation. So what is the role of the cranes in logistics? Turkey has set itself some ambitious goals for renewable wind energy, and we are trying, in terms of these goals, to establish support in the sector of logistics and wind generator equipment. To deliver wind generation equipment on time to the field is very important, but whenever the turbine type changes, everything changes. So the blades and the components of one certain generator, you can lift with a crane or transport with a vehicle, but you cannot do it with another blade which has a longer, higher diameter. So we're talking about lengths of 96 meters, for example. So we and other companies here are responsible to carry these blades So we are talking about a a load which is almost a football pitch long. So with the change of the turbine types, our investments and loss leads to problems for us, because you are importing, for example, a carrier for a certain blade, and then the generator type changes and the blades are longer, so you cannot use this carrier anymore, and you have to export it to another country where it finds a use. So in the operational problems, I would like to talk about, but should we do it now or in the second session? No, you can talk about the process. Yes, the main problem there is that we cannot deliver at night. So carrying these type of roads has to be done in the safest way, and the safest way is to do it at night. And we see some examples for that in Europe, because the infrastructure allows it there. So the project can be done reliably. And, we are doing a lot of road modifications while carrying these products, these items. So it has to be able to be done at night. So I think this is one of the main issues in terms of operation. And the other thing is the highways and the tollways and the bridge overpasses are not always suited. So here we need the regulations. For example, you cannot use one highway and you have to go from another route, and this leads to a rescheduling of the itinerary, and you have to drive slower on these type of roads. So this leads to another problem. So we should be able to drive on highways. And the third problem is there is no standardization in terms of protocol. We collect the necessary terms and conditions for the certain area because you need these protocols, and you have to make another protocol, sign another protocol with the highway authority, and this could lead to a delay of 3 to 4 weeks, for example. And this leads to a longer logistical planning time. So we have to collect all of these for operational efficiency. Thank you so much. So all of this information I noted, I want to share with you. So let's starting with Ömer Gece. So in terms of transport, using more highways and underpasses was a subject you touched upon. Last evening, there was a meeting, and the investment for the storage facilities and for YEKA projects, the Ministry of Energy is working on a new approach to have a faster process. And while talking about this, the reasoning behind here is to lower the amount of time you need for reaching these permits. Sometimes we cannot use some certain roads for transport, and the Turkish geography is, of course, much larger because earlier we had all of our projects in the west, but now we have also in the eastern Turkey more projects. So in terms of logistics, using of these highways and the permits for each, for the roads, because we don't get permits for every road. So the Ministry of Transportation should also be involved, and a paragraph should be added into the agreement, and this has been seen by the authorities as feasible, and there will be changes in this area. And of course, these the changing of the changing of these turbines and switching of new models, and there is also a big competition, and competition leads to a growing of these turbine sizes, and we are trying to adapt to this. And the research and development departments of crane producers and carrier producers are working in tandem with generator producers. So we are trying to fit our investment also to this subject. So this leads to a problem. So another difficulty in this area is the following. Think about a wind farm, and you get the permits, you get the licensing, and then there is an agreement between the producer and the turbine producer, and so this leads to a certain period of time of 5 years up until the assembly of this turbine has been installed. So we are at the end of this process. So we are at the end point of this project. And it's clear to see how dangerous and how important this part is, the installation of these towers and the blades. And we see that we have problems with the roads because you cannot get permits for every road, and you cannot drive in high winds, for example. And everybody's waiting for our last part. So we are feeling this pressure from the sector. So when you think in this regards, this is a area where you need a specialized human resources, specialized equipment, and is also the last link in this value chain. So, and if something bad would happen in this link, this would lead to a loss of all of the investment. So we should keep this in mind when we talk about the importance of transport and installation. Human resources is another problem. As the equipment are getting larger, are getting more developed, and we need to train the necessary human resources who will be able to handle this type of development in equipment. So these are the general problems. So the wind energy is a growing industry. So what are the trends you are seeing? Okay, we're seeing that the turbines are getting larger, and some activities which your countries are doing with offshore, for example, could also be another input. But I would like to ask you your thoughts about the innovation in this area. So let's start with the same with the next tour. Like you said, offshore wind project did not start in Turkey yet, but we're starting with the preparation phase, and there's another concept which is floating wind turbines. These platforms are installed on shore, and the structuring in offshore is another part of it. So we will work on this area as a sector. Another trend for this sector is the following. We talked about that the dimensions are getting bigger, the height is getting bigger, and the deadlifter we're talking about will be more in vogue, will be more used, and tower adapters where the high loads where the towers can go under underpasses. So this has started with 100 tons, and now they are building it with 160 tons because also the weight of these towers are getting higher. So the production and the use of this type of equipment will increase. Maybe we can look into my presentation, to the last part of this presentation. And another important point is the digitalization. We see digitalization everywhere, and also in our sector. So this is also important for us. And what the project we did here has 2 stages. And with heavy lift, this project has been awarded, and we see a survey of the route. You go, for example, to an overpass, to a bridge, and you make a picture, and you can see from your desktop computer the height of this bridge, for example. And then you tell the system, the software, to plot a route from A to B, and this is the first step of digitalization. And this is a so-called hub application, and we are using it at the time. Now we have a new version and we're using it. And the second stage is the transfer of this information, this collected data, to the driver, so that the driver can be on the route which is safe and has no height limitations. So this data to be transferred to the driver is the second part of this project. So this will give us the opportunity to prevent any type of accidents where a machine part runs into a bridge, for example. So there's also a third part. So this is, you can see in the middle picture, the use of LiDAR. So we plot the route via LiDAR, so we can see all of the objects which could stand in the way, and then you can calculate via application whether or not you can pass through this, use this route for transport of the components. So when we can integrate this LiDAR technology to our desktop applications, then we will be able to apply all three stages of this digitalization. So this is generally what I wanted to say about the subject. So I want to continue on the last couple of slides of my presentation. So the turbines change and they are getting more and more complex, and we have to adapt to this. So the capacity of the trailers has to be kept in type. We have Blacklifter 2, and I think in a certain amount of time we will need new investment for the third version. So the old equipment will become obsolete, and this is a problem which we share with other companies like ours. We have a similar problem with the cranes, for example, although you can use cranes also in other areas of industry. And also for the tractors, we need also new regulations, because the size of and the diameter of the towers are changing. So we need tower adapters, clamps for the trailers. These are specialized equipments, and these are the must-haves of our job. So in terms of these goals, we have to actualize and revise these numbers. And when we're talking about the problems, I want to add something about the problems we have as companies. So we are companies here who are using cranes and also doing transport. And we need certain permits, and these permits are taken by the General Directorate of Highways. So we have so-called bonds which are too large, and we need some added weight, but when you add it, then you cannot go under an underpass or in a tunnel, for example. So you can put it on a low bed trailer, but then the General Directorate says you can only load one piece, not multiple pieces, or I cannot give you any permits. So all of these regulations have to be changed. We need an actualization of these new heights. So now we are transporting blades which are not 40 or 50 meters like a couple of years ago, but 80 to 90 meters. And earlier it was only on the west of the Turkey, but nowadays we have to transport these components to heights of 1,500 meters, for example, elevations to 1,500 meters. So we have in Kayseri, in Sivas, in the east of Turkey. So when you take a component from Izmir, from the west port, the western port of Turkey, and you have to travel to the east of the country, and the maximum amount that you can cross per day is 200 kilometers. So delivering a component from the west of Turkey to the east can go up to 15 days. And protocols is also another problem. So transporting a blade or one tower, you need a protocol. So we set ourselves some goals, right? 1,200 megawatts per year. So we will have also an actualization here, so the numbers will be higher. So for 1,200 megawatts, you'll need around 200 wind turbines. Because the wind turbines are 5 to 6 megawatts. So 600, that means 600 blades. So this means around 1,000 towers. So YEKA 4 has been announced, and where will all of these projects be installed? Anywhere in the country, because all of it is our country. So, but to be able to transport all of these items, these components, the regulation of the highways has to be done, has to be actualized. So just a very recent example. Close to Bursa, we want to use a ring road. And then they told us, you cannot use this, but you cannot use highways either. So all of these regulations have to be changed. And it's a huge bureaucracy, which goes up until Ankara. So at the end, the general director says, no, you cannot use this road, and this item has to go to special roads. And these are subjects which have to be solved very quickly. The superfast permits is needed, has been said here. So to transport with our cars, with our vehicles, have to be able to receive permit also with the superfast sign, because the load comes from abroad or to the port, for example, and sometimes the ships are delayed. So there is a delay in the time, so we have to keep it up. So we have to be able to transport faster. So we need a new development here.
On the other hand, with a subsidiary company, we implemented an organization, and we were awarded with EcoVadis bronze medal. This is about sustainability rating. This is about the eco-friendly projects, sustainability and supply chain. You have to take some tests to get this award. The equipment management, apart from the investments, as we are human-focused companies, to be able to manage these equipments, we need to have the skilled personnel, and this is the route we follow. And only 35% of the companies get this award. And our investments will continue. We follow the sector very closely. We lead the sector. Therefore, for the sustainable growth of the energy sector, required infrastructures and regulations have to be implemented ASAP in order to reach these targets. Super-fast license, super-fast permissions have to be implemented, and these are necessary for us, and our job has to be made easier, and they have to be adapted to current conditions. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hi again. As the logistics sector, wind turbines, we are not working in the offshore side of the wind turbines. We have been discussing about it for so many years. But as we see in the social media or in fairs, we don't know about it in a detailed fashion. We don't have any infrastructure in front of us. And some matters have not been overcome yet by Turkey. Our marine zones, fields and the borders are clear, but we might have some issues in Aegean Sea, for example. Recently, I have heard that it would be built in Aegean, but I think offshore is quite far from reality. But as a sector, in terms of innovations, we have never avoided making investments. We were brave enough to make big investments. The transportation and the assembly of the wind turbines, we are very good at this job. We haven't had any issues in this regard. And we did some prototypes in Turkey. And even the target times, we caught them. Moreover, we surpassed them. 7-8 days, for example, they asked for, but we completed them in 5.5 days, sometimes 4.5 days. We don't have any issues about making investments, but in offshore, I think there is a long way to go. We don't have any data in our hands. We don't know what to do. We will see it in the future. They will say that, let's go, we are going to do that, but I don't think that any company can get ready fast. The investment we have made up until now, the total of the investments, maybe we will need to do it at all once, and we don't have such a power. Thank you very much. Ömer Bey. As stated by Kemal Bey and Samet Bey, one of the biggest issues we have is that we make investments in million-euro equipments, and one wind turbine can be carried with 11 trailer, 11 carrier. When you think about the blades and the tower, and the operator has to be very sophisticated in that regard, and this is our expectation. And also OEM, wind turbine manufacturers, ask for such a good quality personnel, skilled personnel. At the beginning of 2024, under the name of Alpözler Group, we created Alpözler Training Academy. And our main mission is to train intermediary personnel, and there isn't enough number of personnel with enthusiasm. We came up with a training program of 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And if they apply for the company, we provide them the training to the drivers, for example, driving under difficult conditions, dealing with the fatigue, etc. This is the program of 8 weeks, as I said earlier. We started this academy in January. In standard highway transportation, we are educating international drivers. We have 5 graduates. We are not considering this academy only for our own company. This is for the sector, and we would like to contribute to our competitors also in the sector, other companies in the sector. As stated by Levent Bey, we are the final part of the supply chain, and a smallest mistake here can take us to the first step back. Yes, we need big investments, and these companies require the financial incentives, but the drivers, the captains, their trainings are also of great importance. In our academy, we also train female drivers. We have 3 female drivers graduated from the academy. Heavy transportation and project transportation. The students of academy, we will do the programs with prototype towers and prototype blades. When the snow touches the ground, we can't carry the turbines, and in order to develop the skills of our personnel in our zone in Izmir, the back maneuver, how the remote is used, etc. We are providing them with training, and I hope that we will be successful. And it will be open to other companies in the sector as well. And we are planning to sort one of the biggest issues of the sector. Thank you very much. So we can divide our problems into 2 categories, one of which is, of course, the logistics of the wind turbines and the need for the investment. As the turbines get bigger and get faster, we need to make compatible investments in that regard. Wind industry is a big one, and the equipment that will carry the parts has to be big as well, and the investments are huge for such equipment. And we had the chance to listen to the opinions of these big companies from the sector. Sustainability of these investments is a question mark, and in order to grow better, they need to work closer with the turbine manufacturers, and this standardization has to be provided so that the sector can function in a healthy fashion. And the second part of the challenges is about the operations. This matter also is important. The road permissions, using the infrastructure, etc., and also the problems about finding skilled employees like the drivers, the captains. They're qualified personnel, by the way. They have to be qualified. They have to be experienced. They're carrying big loads, So they have to be experienced, as I said earlier. They have to be qualified. And in this context, they have to be trained well. And on the other hand, about the trends, the digitalization, making use of the high technology. As the fleets get bigger, we will get optimum efficiency. And about offshore, this topic has come to the table recently, just recently. In 2007, when the first renewable energy code was passed. Since then, we have taken long roads in the logistics and the assembly of the wind turbines. The companies adapted themselves very fast. And I know that all these companies do the same activities abroad as well, not only in Turkey. So they provide these services for other countries. Yes, I think we will do our best to adapt ourselves very fast when offshore becomes a solid topic. This is all for today. If you have questions, we can get them. Apart from that, I would like to thank you for your participation. Hi, my name is Çiğdem Yorgancıoğlu. I'm an energy expert. I might be pronouncing your names wrong. As for the equipment and resource, I will have a recommendation, both in the aviation and maritime sectors. I'm a risk expert about the accidents, and CRM, crew resource management, can be used for your sector, for the logistics. I think it is convenient. If I'm pronouncing wrong, Mr. Alımlı, about the regulations that you mentioned. So you said that your investments are left behind the technological developments and something has to be done here. What is your solution proposal? Because the technology will not stop developing. So what is in your mind to reinforce your position? And about the loading in low bed, you said that it should be loaded in one piece. When it is one piece and you offer the other approach, there should not be any safety issue and this problem has to be overcome. So what is the reason of it not being one piece and what kind of cooperations can be done with the universities? Is this question for me? About low bed. You said that one-piece loading cannot be done. Let me talk about it. Okay, my question is for all of you. I'm a board member in the Heavy Transporters Union Association, and 3 times, 4 times a year we go to the Ministry of Transportation for the direction of high roads. This code on highways was written in 1960s and it was not updated since then. And this law has to be updated. And we don't have any officials doing that. And everyone who comes to the position says that I don't want to lose my position, then this will be a problem, etc. Don't worry, we will carry it to the officials. The last meeting was held in August. 20 high levels from gendarmerie, from traffic police department, from the Ministry of Transportation and the Vice Minister. They promised us, and we continued these meetings twice a month. And they told us that they will be passing the updated version of this law. We had our hopes, and the minutes of the meeting were sent to us 1 month later. And we asked whether we were going to have another meeting. They said that we are still evaluating it. We will let you know. By now, we were expecting to see it updated. When we say peace transportation, we would like to have it in Turkey. We say there is no driver. Because of this fact, we send our cranes to the field, to Muş, to Ağrı, to Izmir. And each piece is carried one by one, separately. On top of low bed, when you put an excavator, it is a load with multiple pieces. When you divide them into its pieces, then why do you carry it in one piece? They say that we will cancel if you ask these questions, So we can't progress. We continue to struggle. We will continue. to struggle. We would like to be respected more. Thank you very much. I would like to give you some more examples. The piece doesn't have weight, but it's a big one. You have to carry it with lower low bed. We do that very frequently. We transport these equipments from one point to another. You know, they take lots of space, but they're not heavy. When I load it into low bed like that, I have scarcity of vehicles. Let's say that I have 10 vehicles. The most ergonomically, I have to load this load and heavy, but small space taker counterbat materials have to be used, and on top of a trailer, more than one piece. Sometimes we have to load more than one piece. But KGME says that no, you can't do that. Unload. They say unload. You know, we try to explain our cause. We were there last week with the pioneering companies of the sector. We explained them the situation. They say, yes, you're right, and let's come together and let's change it, etc. But then nothing happens. We wait. They need to be revised and they need to be updated. Thank you. Okay, small addition. University cooperation. We did university cooperation, and the draft of the regulation was prepared by the Kadir Has University Logistics Department and the association. And this regulation was sent to the General Directorate of the Highways and the Ministry of Transportation. And as stated by Kemal Bey, you know, it is the regulation we are expecting to be accepted, but I'm still hopeful. But it has been 7 years, by the way, since we prepared it and we sent it. We are still struggling. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. I adjourn the session. Have a nice evening.